Awesome. All right, so good morning. What we're going to do today, if we can open up our agenda and go ahead and sign in for your attendance. I'm super excited about having a full house today, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to record this morning's CBPL. So, Ms. Brown, do I have your consent to record? Okay. Good morning. Okay, so if you'll go down to where it says collaborate, we're going to be, what we have on our agenda today that's going to be our focus is we're going to create our community agreements, which will replace our norms. And the reason why we're using the create the community agreement is because it's the NTN way. It's like the New Tech Network format and the framework. And so we're learning how to collaborate with each other to set those norms and expectations in our CBPL, and it'll also be what you do for your students whenever they get into their collaborative project groups. Okay. The other thing that we're going to focus on today is Module 1, looking at our EOM, looking at the resources in the handout that we have at the end of our module, and our tasks, the actual tasks that the students will have to do and complete at the end of the module. We'll also take a moment to look at Bud's Resilient Adventure Project, and this is our PBL for this 9 weeks. And we will, if we have time, we will also look at our data trackers and to see where we're at, and so that we can start having those conferences and those one-on-one conferences with students with those that have already completed. Let's not, I have like 2 or 3 kids that have already finished, so I have their data. I'm going to start with them. Okay. All right. So we're going to take it back to from me to we. So I want for you guys to think about a strength that you bring to our learning community. When I feel supported at work, I fill in the blank. One thing I hope we experience together this year is, and blank. Go ahead and give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the actual lesson for this. It's a 5-minute connection. We're going to model it today in class, or I'm sorry, in CBPL, so that you can go back and do it in class. So the way focus from me to we aligns with New Tech Network is building empathy, asset building, and critical friends culture. So one of the things that is really important when building a culture is to also build that culture where you're respecting feedback, critical feedback, and you're not taking it personally, but you're using it to grow. And so we also want to be able to model that for our students, because they're going to be with their critical feedback friends in their group, and we want them to learn how to accept and grow with the new feedback, make the changes, pivot, and apply those changes without being offended and things like that. Our objective is to build relational trust and model the type of learning environment we want for students. We want them to be collaborative, reflective, and human-centered. Mr. Tanner, I'm recording. Do I have your consent? Okay, come in, have a seat. We have a full house today. So as a part of our new tech culture, we believe relationships are somebody please help me with that word. Foundational, oh my God. And I'm a reading teacher, y'all. Foundational to learning for students and for us as educators. Today, 5-minute connection is a chance to step into that mindset and build a community together. So in partners or small groups, I would like for you to choose one to share. I'll give you about 1 minute thinking time. Can you start the timer for 1 minute, please?
Would you like to be a partner in education? Do you have a preference on question?
So we're gonna choose one and talk about it. So the strength they bring to our learning community is when I feel supported.
I feel supported. That's
And one thing I
That's what I do when I work.
which one do you wanna share?
That was an easy one.
But I guess I was thinking about a strength I bring to a learning community. Honestly, language skills. Since we have so many English students, that helps us to connect with them and their parents as well.
Yeah, one day we want to connection. I feel as though one of the strengths that I bring to our community, our learning community, is optimism, and then like a really intense desire to grow and learn. And it doesn't matter what my previous background is like each year it's a really same curriculum, and I try to so.
But that's only when I feel supported, right? Because whenever I don't feel supported, I'm a little more timid and kind of like.
So which one are we gonna share? I think we should. Yeah.
So we have about 20 more seconds.
A strength? Okay. You have an awesome strength.
And I see it every day. I'm just being willing to learn. We have 12.
Does everybody have a
10
chance
seconds.
to share? All right, perfect. I think we're out of time. Right, yes. Okay, thank you guys. Does anybody want to share out loud what they chose and share it with the group? Go ahead.
Well, I was talking with my partner, Miss Clark. I was telling her that a strength I bring to our learning community is my bilingual skills. That helps me to connect more with our students and parents as well.
Yes.
That's something that we really need.
All right, snacks for Sanchez, yeah? Yes, I agree 100% with you on that one. It's really nice for them to see themselves in you. Anyone else want to share? Go ahead, Cecily.
A strength I bring to our learning community is my experience in elementary school and my experience outside of academic settings because I was out in the real world.
Awesome. Snaps for Miss Hensley. Anyone else?
I will share.
Yes, Miss Clark.
A strength that I bring to our learning community is optimism and my intent desire to grow as an educator, to continue to learn from year to year.
Yes. Snaps for Miss Clark. Yes, I 100% see that in you almost every single day. Anyone else before we move on? Going once? Mr. Tanner? Going twice? Okay, perfect. So I just want to thank you for stepping into the space, that same collaborative and human-centered environment. We want the students to begin to feel safe and be able to share their ideas and their thoughts and feel validated when they're sharing, even if it's just something personal or even sharing their answers. We want them to have that strong foundation, that strong sense of belonging. So I'm going to go ahead and share this with everybody. I didn't want to share it last night because I wanted for it to be like a little surprise of what we were doing. All right. All right, so we're going to go over our revised community agreements, okay? But before we do that, there's something that I'd like to do, and that is to set our jobs in our CBPL, because you'll notice something that should have taken 5 minutes is probably now taking me 10. So I need a timekeeper, I need a recorder, and I know what I'm missing. We'll start there. Timekeeper, recorder.
I'll take the missing job.
The missing job. Let me cry. I hope it's not like a lot. I'm trying to remember what it is, but it's 3 jobs. But I need a timekeeper. You have your phone out. Would you mind? And Hensley, will you take some good notes for us, please? All right, thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and look at I keep wanting to touch that, but it's not there. Let's look at our co-community agreements practice card. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Okay. So if you look at the what and why, I'll give you a moment to just briefly look at it. You want me to make it bigger? Let's look at the what and the why. Miss Clark, will you read the what and then paraphrase it for us? Miss Benya, will you read the why and then paraphrase it for us?
Read and then paraphrase?
Read it to yourself and then paraphrase for us, please.
You want me to start the time?
7 minutes, please. He's just gonna make it crowded. Mr. Hepworth, I'm recording. Do you consent to being recorded?
Absolutely.
Everybody ready? Ready?
Yes.
Okay, go for it, Clark. What's our
a purpose-driven process where it's collaborative and each person is able to add and feel supported and included.
Okay, love that, thank you. And our why, please, Ms. Benya?
Kind of coming together and sharing ideas to kind of have the equitable learning environment to hear everybody's voices.
Yes, love that. Thank you, snaps, guys. Thank you for doing that. So we want for our collaborative group, our community agreements to be inclusive. Like, we want to feel a part of it. You know, with our norms that we have from the district, they've been there for a while, right? But I can honestly say that I had no part in what our norms were going to be. And that's fine, but whenever we're building this community in our CBPL, I think it's really important that we come together and decide what's acceptable in our community, right? And what we'd like to see and have take place when we're collaborating, okay? So it doesn't take that long, so let me explain to you what these meanings at the bottom. So this means that it's recursive and you can do it as often as you need to. And prep time just means it doesn't take that much prep, okay? This is for collaborative, I believe, I can't remember. And it talks about agency, and I don't remember what that one is. Right?
Hazardous material.
Hazardous material. So it tells you the how. So you define 2 different types of agreement, whether or not it's relational or operational. And you'll do that in class, like with your students. You'll have them come up with all of their community agreements or what they think it should be a community agreement. And then they'll break it up. They'll have to put it in piles of, is it relational or is it operational? And there's other ways we can do that. But we're adults, so we're gonna come together and we're gonna decide what our community agreements are gonna be. And I'm gonna record it on a slide really quick and I'm gonna share it with you. And you can add what you think we need to, what you think we should add to our community agreements. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
Did I miss anybody? Hensley, no? Can I get a time check, please?
Yes. 3 minutes.
3 minutes? Okay, so let's take the remaining 3 minutes to come up with some agreements that you'd like to see in our CBPL.
Are we adding to the same slide or?
Yes, same slide is fine.
Where's off campus this morning?
Time check, please.
We have 35 seconds left.
Okay, thank you. Miss Hensley, when you have a second, will you put them on nice and neat, please? All nice and neat. I'll make an order. All right, so let's go ahead and go over what we have here and see if we want to, whether or not it's operational or if it's relational. So we have assume positive intent. Do you think it's operational or relational?
Relational.
Definitely relational. So can we put them in two columns, Hensley? Sorry, that was Christy and Hensley together. Came out, Hensley.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Miss Hensley, can you put like a relational on one side and operational on the other? Assume positive intent. We said relational. Well, be open to growth. Operational, relational, relational. Okay. Come prepared weekly. Operational,
Operational.
operational. Staying open-minded and keeping our focus on the students.
Relational.
I think relational. Everyone's voice is heard and respected.
Relational.
And then hold space for our team's opinions.
Relational.
Okay. So do we need to add any more operational rules? Be on time. Be on time, be present, be on time. Do you think there's anything else we need to add? Are we okay with these so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do we want to add or take any of them away?
Do you think to even the list, maybe we need to add operational? I just personally can't think of any, so like
Okay.
that's when your expertise would.
Okay, so coming prepared weekly, having your materials, being on time, open to feedback.
Okay, that's a good one.
Hensley, you need another minute, seconds?
I got it, put it on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so then we'll add that to our community agreements, okay? So we all solemnly swear to follow these, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, right? Raise your right hand. Okay, so then, from me to we, community agreements. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our EOM. our task handouts. And I didn't think about how these were going to be upside down for us.
If you download it, it should open up in a PDF, and then it has a little arrow, and you can.
Thank you.
You're gonna keep getting these from me because for whatever reason I can't access anything on my computer, so it's on my phone.
That's
That's why
okay.
it keeps asking me for access.
No problem. I thought I shared it with all of y'all.
I think it's just coming up on a different one from my phone.
Oh no, because Mr. Tanner's asking for. So it's something that I did. Is that everybody? Doo-doo. And you said there's an arrow? This one? Hey, learn something new.
And you just keep going.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm coming, India.
Okay.
All right, so what I would like for us to do really quick is go ahead and where did it go? I lost it, y'all. Go ahead and look over our resources for our EOM. Give you about 3 minutes to kind of just glance through it with the purpose of what are our students needing to do? What skills are they going to need? And how are we going to get them there? Did you set a timer for me? Thank you. Time check, please.
6 seconds.
Sorry?
5 seconds.
5 seconds. All right, thank you. Okay, awesome. All right, so what are some of the things that you're noticing about these task resources? What do you think the students are going to need to do? What skills are they going to focus on? Yeah.
So by the time we arrive at the EOM, the students need a firm understanding of structure when it comes to essays, because the EOM is not only a two-seat, but it's asking for compare and contrast. So that's important to enforce throughout the entire module, like the organizing, so that you can complete a final product in a particular structure.
Okay, so students need to know structure, meaning paragraph, right? Paragraph.
Yes.
What else? And then you said to seek.
Yes. That was,
These are just notes, so it doesn't matter if it's wrong.
so that was another point. They
Okay.
need a firm understanding of the two-seat, each part of the two-seat. But throughout the module, the focusing question tasks are calling for a two-seat. So if we've successfully completed those tasks, they should have a comprehension of how to complete a two-seat.
Okay.
Vocabulary, module vocabulary, and then compare and contrast vocabulary. And based on the handouts, I think it's important for the students, especially EB students, to track examples. So instead of them opening the book on, EOM day, maybe on the handouts or in their notebook, they already have the examples that they want to go with.
Thank you. Because whenever I was looking at it, I was thinking about how they get these resources on in lesson 30, and of course they have other resources that they gather at the in the other lessons. But I was wondering whether or not it would be a good idea to give this to them at the beginning. Front loaded, like they have access to it, so that as they're going, they can see the connection between the work that they're doing in their lessons and in Course Mojo, and how it ties into their EOM.
I think it's important so that on EOM day, we don't have those students that shut down because they feel overwhelmed with the instructions. I've always experienced that. If they have their personal notes, it's like, okay, it's a lot in the instructions, but I already have an idea of what I'm going to write about.
Right, I like that. Thank you, Ms. Clark. Hansley, you have your hand up? No?
No, but I can still contribute. I think a lot of the things they're gonna have to do is they're gonna have to look for text evidence when they're doing character analysis. So they're gonna have to go more in depth, and there's gonna have to be a lot more interesting than just the basic, Buddy was sad, how do you know Buddy was sad?
Okay, I can't spell today. Doesn't matter. Perfection, progress over perfection, who cares?
It's similar to what, not to cut you off, Ms. Susie, but what Anthony and I did, the other day, when revising the story, things of that nature. And, this is basically, one of the kids is in the classroom, he basically, took a story from other kids may seem happy to see their grandmother, he took it as a negative instead of, well, I miss my grandmother. So that's just something like, they kind of already doing it in a sense, but not fully.
Perspective. Yeah, definitely perspective. That's one of the things about the state of Texas. It always gets me, right? We talk about point of view, but we also need to make sure that we're covering it from that perspective, like the character's perspective, not just the author's point of view. And then when we talk about perspective, then we'll also have an opportunity to hit tone and mood. Okay. Anybody else want to add?
Citations. The type of citations that Witten Wisdom calls for, I don't believe they have experience from elementary. So maybe doing some type of quick lesson, just because I find that students struggle if you try to teach them on the day of the EOM how to do the citation.
That's how bad I see. Okay. So misconceptions. Oh, my grandson is calling. He's so cute.
How do you mean citations? Like, are we gonna put down the page numbers?
The
Or-
EOM asks for in-text citation,
Uh-huh.
so author's name, quotes.
Yes, so so for a misconception is paraphrasing. So when our students come up from the elementary level, when they immediately start writing, they paraphrase everything. So they see the text evidence, but instead of citing it directly from the text, they're paraphrasing what they're reading. So we have to teach them how to take the text word for word and put it in their own writing with quotations and page numbers.
That actually supports.
That actually supports what they're talking about,
Yeah.
yes.
And that's really practice for them, because sometimes they end up trying to grasp too much, and it takes like the whole paragraph, and it's like, no, you really do still need to paraphrase, synthesize within that text. You're not trying to get that whole part of it, so that does take them practice and understanding.
Yes.
Extract, take all of it.
And we're
Use all
the
parts of it.
introduction to that particular skill. Like, they didn't
Yes.
do that last year.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I do with my students is I explain to them that what they're trying to paraphrase is what elaboration is. So you can still paraphrase, but directly quote. And then your paraphrasing should explain why you are choosing that text, and that becomes their elaboration. Okay, was there anything else that we saw? So, transitional words and phrases. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. So, talking about skills, aside from what we have here, what other skills do we need in order for them to be successful on this EOM?
Sentence structure.
Theme, character analysis. What else? Tracking events, conflict. So the plot,
Yes.
the plot structure is what we need to. So, what are some ways we could think of? Because we do. Plot structure should be something that they have it should be a skill that they already have from elementary. However, with more complex text, it looks a little different, right?
Mhm.
So what are some of the strategies that you could use to help them understand plot on this level?
Maybe track it as a class, create the anchor chart, and as we move through the text, add the events to the appropriate areas. Maybe also have them add a plot diagram to their journal for references.
Ms. Sanchez, you want to share how we do that? Do you remember? Okay, sorry for putting you on the spot. It's been this summer months, right? So one of the things that we do in our class is when we're tracking the events, like we're choosing the events, and then we're thinking, okay, did it get worse or did it get better? Right? So is it creating conflict or is it resolving conflict? If we take the event out, does the story still continue? Right? Because if it does, then that's not an important event, right? If you take that event out and the story can't continue, then we know it's important. So that's a strategy that we use in our class. Is the students, that's how they're tracking, right? So we track events based on conflict, and importance to the plot. Character transformation.
Oh yeah, that's important.
So when we're tracking our character, we need to keep an eye on what Bud was like at the beginning and how he continues to evolve and change. Whether or not he grows or if he regresses, right? In his behaviors or his reactions, his temperament. And so it'd probably be a good idea to track the plot on one side and Bud on the other. And then that way they have a good set of text evidence for both, and they can probably see how we can make that connection between the two. So in my mind, I think it's really important that they read the whole entire book, right? In my heart of hearts, that's what I would love to see. However, in reality, we may not have that type of time. So we need to start thinking about what are the essential chapters from this particular book that we can share with the students. If we can miss a chapter 5 and it still complete the plot and still show how the conflict is being immersed and to still show how Bud is changing. Okay? So let's go ahead and go back to, are there any questions about our resources? And then my team, I'm gonna share this with you guys later so that you can have access to it and we can start making like annotations on it, okay? All right, let's go back to here. Let's look at our EOM task. Anyone with the link should be able to open it. So, I don't know if anybody else has seen my lesson plans, but I put a note on my lesson plans. I'm waiting for whoever my IS or my literacy coach or my AP or my principal to look at my lesson plans, because they'll see that perfect little note about how we need Cami. And can you buy it for us, please? So I'm waiting for someone to respond. That's how I know whether or not someone actually looked at my lesson plan.
I have a question
Yes,
about
ma'am.
our submissions. Are we submitting on the dashboard, and is there another area that it needs to be submitted?
So that dashboard is linked to where it's supposed to go.
Perfect.
Mhm. Okay, let's go ahead and skim and scan our end of the module task. Let's look at it from the lens of know and need to know from a student's perspective. Of course. Sanchez, can you give us 5 minutes, please? minutes. All right, so with 2 minutes remaining, let's go ahead and discuss this task. So what are your thoughts? What are we doing? How does the resource help the students get here? What are we gonna focus on? Talk to me. Are y'all still processing? Tell me what you're thinking. As y'all are reading it, what are your thoughts, Sanchez? I saw your mind like, what the heck?
Well, I was noticing that I was gonna ask them to write a cause and effect explanatory essay. So from the student's perspective, I was thinking, will they know what a cause and effect explanatory essay is? And I guess the meaning of the words that they're asking them to use, like resilience, survivor, cope. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The needs to knows for the students.
Gotcha. Love that. So every time I read it, well, let me, before I tell you, Henry, your thoughts? Okay. So am I the only one that thinks like, whoa, this is a lot for them? It's a lot to comprehend? Right? It's heavy. It's really, really heavy, especially it being the first EOM. It's really heavy. So one thing that I like to do with my students is we break down the EOM together in its full format. So in Eduphoria, the actual EOM is condensed. So they're not seeing the whole, they're not seeing all of this. They're not seeing the introduction and the task. I think they only see the task and the criteria for success, I believe.
That's good.
Right, thank you. However, I do break it up for them because when we show it to them holistic and they're panicking a little bit and they're thinking about what they need to do, and then we actually see it in Eduphoria, they kind of like, okay, right? It kind of gives them a sigh of relief because they realize that it's a stain, but it's not so thick. Also, I made a note for us that Course Mojo, all the writing lessons, is up to here. So one of the things that Course Mojo hasn't done for us yet is a way to copy and paste the students' writing. So it'll take them through every single step, but once they're done, I think I may have a copy of what they have written, like what their answers are, but they don't have a way to go back to it. So we might want to get like best practices. We might want them to copy and paste as they go, like take what they've written in Course Mojo and put it on a Google Sheet. Another thing that I've been processing and the thought that I've been playing with is so in their, especially the GT kids. So in their mind, they have all of their work done to answer the EOM. And so they want to take the work they did and paste it into the EOM because they already did it and they know they already did it to the EOM and Eduphoria, and you can't do that.
You can't paste it.
And you can't pull up two screens at the same time. So you might want to have your kids think about an outline to remind them of what they wrote, or do they want to take the time and copy handwrite what they wrote so they can transfer it into Eduphoria? All right, any questions about our EOM? So we all know where we're going, right? Okay, now this is the fun part. How are we gonna get there? That's what we need to think about next. How are we gonna get there? Course Mojo is one vehicle that we will be using to get there. But if we go back to our thingamajig, our agenda, and we go to Bud's Resilient Adventure Project, we have our amazing toolkit. So this is what we started together in in our training, our new Tech Network training. So the design process for New Tech Network is designing our projects with the end in mind. And that's what we just did, right? We know where the kids have to go. We also know for every benchmark, they have that focusing task question. So we have to think about what steps the students need to take in order to be able to successfully answer the focusing question. And then what next steps are they taking to take them to the EOM? So right now, as a team, what we planned is what TEKs we are addressing that coincide with wit and wisdom, but more with our Texas standards. So fluency, can they generate questions, inferences? Are they responding orally? Text evidence, analyzing setting, historical culture, all those good things, right? And then we have them planned out in student-friendly learning targets. So we have that together. We're working on our rubrics. That's where we stopped. And this is I wonder if I can see this. That's too little for y'all to see, huh? We all have access to it, correct? So our project scenario, Ms. Clark, can you read it to us, please?
Yes, ma'am. Just give me a moment.
Of course.
This project aims to deepen students' understanding of how historical hardships, like the Great Depression, shape personal identity, community, and resilience through the lens of Bud, Not Buddy. By engaging with real-world examples and creating a podcast series, students will connect literary analysis to contemporary issues of resilience. The learning goals include developing critical thinking skills through text analysis, enhancing communication abilities via interviews and presentations, and fostering empathy and understanding of community support systems.
Thank you. So that is our overall project. I love it.
I'm excited.
I am too.
I'm excited.
I am too, because it's so important, especially for college readiness. The students they don't need to just be able to read and write. They also need to be able to present and speak adequately. And eventually Ms. Castillo will get her words right.
We're on the same page. We know. Same page.
And so with this podcast, they have to gather all their information, right? Based on whatever they decide. But in showing how we have community heroes that have shown resilience, the population or the demographics that we live in have shown resilience. So giving them an opportunity to look at it through their own personal lenses and the lenses of their community. So our driving question that's going to drive the whole entire project is, in what ways do the relationships and interactions between characters in Bud Not Buddy influence their journeys through hardship? And how can these insights help us understand the importance of community in overcoming challenges? That's their driving question. So they can rewrite it so that they could better understand it. But that's where they're going with it. Our problem statement: we are cultural historians who will investigate the impact of the Great Depression on individuals and communities using But Not Buddy as a lens to analyze how historical context influences personal growth and resilience. I thought it was really odd that was our, like we came up with that problem, not odd, but like super cool that was our problem, because that's where the students have trouble when they're reading the text. They don't grasp the concept that the Great Depression was a long time ago, which according to our 2014 babies was the 1990s. They're saying 1990s. We were reading the poem for my librarian, and they were like, one of their needs to knows was, I need to know why the Southern whites didn't like the Southern blacks. And then one of the little girls says, well, that's because that was a long time ago. And then this other little boy goes, yeah, like 1990 or something. And I was like, oh my God.
I specifically annotated in the poem, Miss Clark was not alive during this time frame. So pick someone else now.
I was like,
no, I annotated that because they do naturally just say, oh, well, Miss, was that when you were little?
yeah,
No.
So they have a hard time grasping the concept of the historical, literature. So I'm excited about that because they really have to look through it, through that lens in their project. Okay, so what they should be able to do. So not only are the students working on this podcast, but they also have to have that written and verbal, that written response. So they still have that essay that will accompany the podcast. So the students won't just have their interviews, but they'll also have that essay portion of it. So the written performance task, students will write a letter from Bud to the community organization focused on resilience, detailing how his experiences during the Great Depression have shaped his understanding of hardship and the importance of community support. Who does that sound like? If we took out Bud and we didn't know we were talking about Bud, who does that sound like? Our students.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a problem doing this, but before I do it, I want to know, is there some type of parent letter that's generated from the, okay.
Yes. So when we get to the authenticity and the partnership, we'll really bring in the community, and then we'll also advise the parents of what we're going to be working on, if there's anything that they want to share, and what the students will be like interviewing and questioning.
And the thing is, like, even with just talking about this now, but thinking about something that the kids might be able to connect with today. Isn't today the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina?
19th?
August 19th, I think that's today, So it's like those types of connections when you're talking about, historical things for them, but you may have some who may make those connections of hardship with that. I mean, I know they're gonna probably start seeing a lot of this, because I've started seeing a lot of it on TikTok, that anniversary part of it coming up and all of those factions to it. So I really like the idea with the podcast, because I think that's gonna be really good for our ESL students as well, in preparation even for TELPAS, with them having to speak up and speak out with that and doing it in that oral format. I think one of the things too, I think this is gonna lend itself to, I know they'll have that written component of it, but even with the questions that they start to generate themselves, that you're going to ask during your podcast. Who is it that you're interviewing? You're taking it from Bud's perspective, I'm presuming, but I think it lends itself to a lot of other question types that may come up. So I'm really interested in how the students, the take, or where they'll go with this.
Yes. Yeah. I am too. And yeah, I explained it to her. Yeah, I explained it to her before we came in. And also, like, the podcast is just an idea that we're giving them, but they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So I wonder, and I'm not wondering, I am hoping and praying and manifesting a student who wants to do some type of documentary or some type of film, and then it will be able to enter it into our film festival with the district. or even the podcast could get entered as well, or photographs. Could you
I was
imagine?
gonna say photographs.
Oh, that would be so cool. Okay, so we have our rubrics. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it, and then we'll connect it. So this is the part where we'll come together and plan, if you don't mind, like during our conferences, like we have that day off. We'll come together and decide our entry event and how we're going to blow it up for the students. So one of the things that me and Ms. Clark and I had a conversation yesterday in the hallway about how our lockers are just red, and it's just there, and it's just boring, and it's just like blah, right? So we were thinking about how can we share our students' talents and knowledge about the Great Depression, about resilience, about what else do we say? The floods, the hardships, right? Before they even enter into the module. So we need to keep that in mind. And I was wondering if we could have them do, because they're going to research all of this on their own. So maybe they can do like a slideshow or do like a collage. And then maybe we can give it to Ms. Anderson and maybe she could blow up and make us a poster that the kids can put on there, on the lockers. And then we can have students respond to the lockers, whenever. That's just a thought in mind, so we might want to keep that.
It sounds very engaging.
Yeah, I want something engaging. Like before, we used to dress up like Bud, it was fun. And I still have the suitcase. Miss David was with us, and she encouraged us to really make it big. And I still want to do that. I want to make it big. I want to make it engaging. And I want the kids to be like, oh my God, the sixth graders like the seventh graders. I want them to think like, oh, sixth graders are so lucky. I wish we would have done that. Or I can't wait till my little brother does that next year. You know what I mean? So the no's and the needs, we'll discuss that later. But what I want for us to think about is the scaffolding in New Tech Network is not the same as scaffolding for us. Scaffolding for them is what lessons are going to scaffold up to get us to the benchmark. So this is where we would plan what lessons from our Wit and Wisdom, for our Course Mojo, for what we put together for PBL, will get us to that benchmark, okay? There's 4 benchmarks, and then we'll get into our calendar. And then our lessons. But we'll do that together. Any questions so far?
I do. It's kind of an observation. So what I noticed is that the second novel is not necessarily included, which I'm not against, but the EOM does discuss the second novel. So is there going to be a gap?
There shouldn't be.
Okay.
It shouldn't be.
Well, the EOM tells you to choose one of the characters, either Bud or who's the other character?
Billy Joe.
Billy Joe. So yeah, it should be because they're going to choose one together.
And then of course Mojo will get us into that.
Okay.
In the past, in the last 4 years,
I already know. That's why I asked about it.
In the last 4 years, we have not, I think I have only read Out of the Dust once with my students. And that was whenever we only did 2 modules. Because with the time constraints that we have on this campus, it's almost, right?
The 1 year I did Out of the Dust, we started with module 1 instead of 0.
Yes.
So that was how we were able to get to that particular module.
But I don't want to not include Out of the Dust because
Yes.
we won't hit poetry any other time besides Star Prep.
That was mine.
And our student, so
Okay.
we need to think about those standards that are going to be assessed on our tests when we're incorporating.
Linda, a question. Why don't we have them to, we talk about the lockers, but we have them to what if they did some of that stuff about it, and then we can connect back to the
Because we
really open it up to see what they come up with. You know, because it's gonna be, what do you recall? What do you, otherwise everything's gonna be ancient history for them, you know what I'm saying? But if it's something that they're able to connect to, when they really start thinking about a hardship, I think it's gonna be surprising with what they bring to the table.
Whenever, yes, I agree 100% with that. And to add on to that, one of the things we need to keep in mind when we're planning the lessons, it's not a sit and get. It's not us teaching the hardships. It's not us teaching the resilience. It's not us saying, hey, talk about Hurricane Katrina or the flood. It's the students where they find that connection, where we say, hey, where, you know, like we'll be giving them specific instructions and, hey, can you put together a quick presentation in regards to where somebody had, you know, was struggling within their community, or any hardships or trauma or whatever it may be. Well, however we word the question, but it'll be them doing all the work, all the digging, all the heavy lifting. It's all on them. And one of the reasons why this framework works so well is because while the students are engaged with their own learning, we have the opportunity to pull our rotations, have our data talks, have our conferences, have our, like, our needs to know, like every day or every other day when we do the know and the needs to know. If a student still needs to know how to write a 2-seat paragraph, you pull those groups, you pull that group. We're like, okay, today they're still struggling with this. We're gonna do a 2-seat small group. They're struggling with theme, we're gonna do a theme small group, right? We don't know how to do a podcast. You're gonna do a podcast small group, right? So that needs to know is really going to drive what the students need to learn instead of us telling them what they need to know. All right, so with that, we're going to do a quick change up because we are running out of time, I believe. And let's look at our data trackers. All right, so we had, I don't know whose idea it was, but it was a great idea. We're looking at their 2024 star, so their 4th grade star, their 5th grade star, and we're gonna have some MAP scores to compare. So as you're pulling, let me ask you this. When you're having a one-on-one conference with your students in regards to data, what is that gonna look like in your classroom?
Do you mean like a virtual or like a hard copy, or like how are we gonna talk to them?
Both, all of the above.
We need to talk to them about where they were in 4th grade, where they are in 5th grade. I'm sorry, where they were in 4th grade, where they were in 5th grade, and what do they want to achieve when they get to 6th grade? Because I've had conferences and some of the kids are like, oh, well, I just want to make 100. I'm like, no. They need to be mindful of what they are capable of, and they need to be mindful of a realistic goal. Because if they're at do not meet low, and they're like, well, I'm never going to make it to masters. Okay, well, you have a score of 29. Do you think you can get to 50? And that's automatically going to put them in a different category that they didn't think was attainable. So we have to present the information to them in both ways. So not only, okay, you're at meets, do you want to get to, not meets, you're at approaches, do you want to get to masters? Well, I don't think I can get to masters, you need to give me 20 points. Oh yeah, you can give me 20 points.
Love it. Thank you, Ms. Hensley. What would it look like in your classroom? Well, how do you think the conversation will go?
So one of the things that I like to inform the students of is the significance in the skill scoring, because they don't necessarily understand that. Sometimes it's just a color or just a word. So I kind of like to break that down. So when they are making those goals, they kind of understand, instead of just saying, you know, I want to make 100, this is what it takes to be a master. So, and I kind of give them a variation. If it's this many questions, this is what it looks like. Because I was the kind of student that I would go and count, like, this is a maybe, so I'm just going to mark it. So I found that they don't know, and that's important for them to understand. And then also the test, the actual test, they're not going to remember 4th grade. So it's kind of like remember the shutdown, go back to fourth grade year. So like I think that's important too. If you just say, okay, this is your score, you really have to take them back. Okay, this was shut down fourth grade, not last year, but the previous year, just so that they understand the data that we're actually discussing.
Yes.
And I think the other thing that goes with that, they have to have a plan to reach their goal. It's not just like I ran cross country in high school, and I always tell them, guys, this is like running. It's the fact that you're gonna finish, but you need to set a goal. You can't sit on a couch
Like a SMART goal.
You can't sit on a couch for 4 weeks and then expect to run a 4-minute mile. You've got to train, and there's things that you have to do. So we have to put a game plan in place for them as well.
Snaps.
I think one of the, snaps. I think one of the main reasons why I want us to go back and look at that previous year star, going back to that 2024, because right now, coming in, getting to know your kids and getting to encourage them, they don't know. All they'll know is, did I pass, did I fail? That's what they're looking at. But even if you're looking at, say, the examples that's here, you have someone who started off at that 23 and got up to that 29. Like, all of our focus last year was, we're looking for, what was I saying? Growth to greatness, growth to greatness. I'm looking for you to grow. Like, you may still not have passed, but look at how many points you came up. That's that initial conversation, and that's why I really want the teams to have those data talks with kids, because these are the data that are fresh on their minds. But they may have just gotten, mom saying you didn't pass or you passed or whatever, because of course our other thing is, you may have passed, but did you drop? You may have passed, but did you drop? So it's really having that in context, so that when we're then looking at our next set of data, that MAP score, this is where we start looking, hey, but you're showing growth. It's all about showing that growth and having those conversations with them, so that they're not becoming depleted or defeated when they see a score that's not passing. We're still looking for, and that says, no, you're not trying to get to masters. This is where you were here. Let's take these steps. If this is where you were here, that 42, wow, you went from a 42 to a 67. And that reflection piece is so key. What do you think you did differently in preparation for this? So the student reflection, having them really think about the things that they did, they put in place. Now, 6th grade, you all have that. We know our 7th and 8th grade students, we know what they did, because we know how we did things last year. 6th grade coming in, I don't know that they had these types of data talks. This may be the very first one that they're really diving deeper into these data and really setting those individual goals. So that's why the role you all play is so critical, but it's really starting with these data points here, so that they see the amount of growth that they had from that previous star to this last one that they took.
And can I add to that, we have to be really careful with the kids who hit masters, because they're gonna think, oh, well, I got masters, like Leah, we all on there, it says, oh, well, she got an 81, and then if you round up, she got an 81, and she's like, oh, okay, well, I obviously have that, I don't really need to work that hard. We still have to push them and ask them, what do you feel is your weak spot? And if they're like, oh, well, I don't know, I'm just great and everything, okay, then we're gonna focus on where I do.
And she's not really moving, so that would be a conversation I would have with her. She's an 80 in 4th grade, 80.7, 81 in 4th grade, 80.7 in 5th grade. So that's a conversation I'm gonna have with you. You're not moving, actually you regress when you look at it. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. Love the conversations. One of the things that I remind my students is that they are not 6th graders yet. They are 5th graders learning to be a 6th grader. So they have their 5th grade skills, but now as a teacher and as students, we're going to build on those 5th grade so that they can become 6th graders ready to now tackle on 7th grade. Once they understand that concept, then they start to feel more comfortable in learning. Because right now they're thinking they're overwhelmed with a new environment. And so they're thinking that it's that they're 6th graders and they don't know any of this stuff yet, and they should know it. And I have to remind them, like, no, you don't know it yet. I'm teaching you. We're building on it. And then learn, like we said, little steps, right? Action steps. You know, they can't go from a do not meets. I mean, they could, but most of them may not go from a do not meets low to approaches low or approaches high. They're baby steps. This is just the beginning of the year. This is our beginning test. But can you grow 3 questions, correct questions from now until December? And if you can, and if you can grow 3 more steps, you're now gaining 6 more points at the end of the year. And showing them that it's a progression. Like you said, the trade, right? You're training for a marathon. There's a practice card that we're going to use, and that's your asset building. Find out what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are, and have those conversations with them in the conferences. Because it's like, you're really great at identifying theme, so we're going to keep that up, and we want you to continue to get stronger in that area, but you're not that great at collecting text evidence. So this is what we need to focus on for the next week or 2. You know, things like that, having those conversations and checking in with them consistently. It's hard to get all 70, 80, 90 kids, but if you can make a rotation daily where you pull 4 or 5 and you're able to give them their scores and have that reflection piece and have that conversation, you'll make some dents in those conferences.
And it is critical not to lose those who are in that masters, that meets and masters. What we were telling those students, because I kind of met with those individually, is you want to reach that at this grade level. You reach that at 4th grade or 5th grade level. We're working towards you meeting that, sustaining that, being there at the 6th grade level or above. Because if they're not, then they're a dropper for us. So it's having those conversations and pushing them. And it may very well be where you're focusing on those specific teaks that they did not do well on, so that they have that goal that they're setting for themselves. But it's always that reminder of, this is what you did in 5th grade, and we want to make sure that you're showing growth and sustaining that for, 6th grade.
Yes.
So that's kind of like, it's a different conversation with those students, but it's an important conversation that we can't miss out on, because keeping them at that point and above is just as crucial as having the others show that growth above that.
Okay. Any questions about data trackers or conferences? Okay, everybody has their data and how to get through it through the teacher dashboard. Okay, and then the biggest piece, along with those conversations, is that reflection piece. Giving them an opportunity to reflect and to take ownership of where they're at and where they're going, okay? All right, so let's look at next steps. Reminders, lesson internalizations are due by Friday. Upload them and lesson presentations into your team folder. So you have that linked in our teacher dashboard. And then make sure that you bring your lesson annotations to CBPL on Thursday. And then we will look at our NTN lessons with that and our course mojo lessons too. We'll marry all of them together so they can live happily ever after. All right, really quick, shout out and shine out. So this one is another cool thing we can do for us and then for our students before, like an exit ticket type situation, especially for our advisory. So think of someone on this team who deserves a quick shout out. Maybe they shared a great idea, supported a student, modeled vulnerability, or showed up when it mattered. So I want you to think really quick. And then we have 90 seconds to do all our shout outs. So let me show you the lesson plan for this. So it's 2 to 3 minutes. Again, we're building asset building and sense of belonging. So you would say to your students, we're taking 2 minutes to shine some light on each other. One of our NTN practices is asset building. seeing and naming each other's strengths. This is a quick shout out sprint, so 90 seconds. Think of someone on this team who deserves a quick shout out. Maybe they shared a great idea, supported a student, modeled vulnerability, or just showed up when it mattered. We can either popcorn style it, we'll call a name, shout out, and then the next person, you'll call out the next person's name, or whoever you're shouting out will go next. And then I have like a blow up ball that I might use and like physically toss it, but we're not gonna do that here, okay? Is everybody ready to go? 90-second shout out. Here's your prompt. Can y'all see the prompt? Can you start the timer for 90 seconds, please? Who's gonna go first? Okay, Hensley, and start the timer. Go.
Sir, shout out to Ms. Clark and to Ms. Castillo for helping me out with middle school everything, and for the curriculum and for the kids and just all of it. I felt very, very super appreciated.
Shout out the entire 6th grade team. Ms. Hensley hit the ground running. This is a curriculum that takes a lot of people 2 years to learn, and you have stuck your feet deep into it. Shout out our MCL for having the patience to teach adults and children. I don't know how she does it. She's so helpful. Shout out our student teacher for being awesome. This is a whole teacher right here. Keep up the good work.
Yes. Awesome. I want to shout out Mr. Tanner. He is our special ed co-teacher. He has been there and then just willing to learn and working with the kids and pulling out groups for testing. And thank you. I tell you, when I'm so sincere when I say and grateful that you're there to help us, for sure.
Alright, shout out to the whole ELA 6th grade staff for this welcoming me in and then basically helping me as well. Like I told y'all since day one, I'm learning as well. I ain't been in the classroom for a long time, so it just going back with everything, helping the kids out, and just want to give a shout out to y'all for helping me with that.
You're welcome. Snaps. How much time do we got?
We have 1 minute.
I want to shout out Miss Pena for coming to middle school after working in elementary and taking on the role as an MCL. It's a lot. And she's learning the curriculum, and I'm glad that she agreed to come here to see you guys today.
Love it, love it.
I want to shout out everybody because I know it feels very different having visitors, and you guys ran your CBPL very professional, and I like the input and everything, the examples that I was hearing, and I'm like writing ideas down, and I'm like, oh, I like that. So thank you, everybody.
Oh, you're welcome. Snaps, y'all. Time check, Sanchez.
50 seconds.
Go ahead.
Well, I want to shout out everyone, mostly my mentor, Ms. Castillo. I'm still taking notes. All this book is just notes from Ms. Castillo and all the strategies that she uses. I'm learning a lot from this new team as well. All those notes are in here, and so yeah, I just keep learning and growing things to go.
Since we're shouting out mentors, Miss Freeman, then she's been my mentor for a very long time, and look up to her. She does amazing, great things, and I think that I grew a heart for special ed because of her. She showed me that they are just as capable as anybody else to do their work, and reminding me to slow down when I'm talking and speaking and articulate my words, and to be patient, and don't worry about being a perfectionist, and be nice. And
I told Miss Penny, I said, she's probably gonna tell you, Miss Penny was so mean to me. I said, but look at where you are. I wasn't mean to you. I just knew what you were capable of.
yeah, sometimes she was pushing, sometimes she was dragging, sometimes she was running to catch up, but it was all there. So snaps, guys. I love this CBPL. I think we did really great today. Everybody knows where we're going for the next couple of days, and then we'll come together. Mr. Hepworth sent out that email about lesson plans being turned in, and I was just like, I was like, our team has it. So thank you guys for everything we're doing, and we'll just keep it up.